melanin, kundalini, and the chakras. The human body chakra system. We heal ourselves. Hi everybody, I'm back on a nice rainy day. I love rainy days and I like the chill in the air after it rains. Today I put in the GPS, Douglasville Parks, and I discovered a new one that I have never been to. So today is my first visit here. Just take a look around, let you see here. Looks like a football field behind me over here. And then a children's play area over there. I was gonna do it from over there, but that gentleman is over there. And then a nice swimming facility. You know, it's interesting that I'm still learning my way around, haven't been here for a year, and so that's always interesting. Thank you for being here again with me today. I hope I can get through it in one take. Just to remind you all of my book, There Is No HIV. I just completed several presentations on last night, just to let you know so you can check them out. One is called ISIS, and the other is called Rainbow Warrior. And I think I did another one. Maybe the name of it will come to me before the end of this presentation. I also wanted to give honor. In fact, I called him last week just to say thank you. You know, a lot of times when we meet spiritual teachers, especially ones that are well-versed in our history and the knowledge of Kemet. And this gentleman, Dana Williams, Ptah Seeker is his name. He is an amazing Kemetan teacher. In fact, has been guiding me for a long time on the sidelines, I guess you'd say. I really respect him because he never looked down on me for any reason. He noticed that I had been singing about Nebthet, and so I was also learning very much about her. So sometimes I would call him and ask questions about her, and he would give me advice. A lot of times he speaks over my head because he speaks our language, the Medu Neter, I think it's called, our language. And so I've learned a few phrases, but certainly I'm not as fluent as he, but he is an excellent teacher with many presentations on YouTube. Ptah Seeker, please look him up. These calendars are for sale. I bought one for my mother and I, and they are excellent to know the real time, he says, not you know, this Gregorian calendar idea. He says that knowing what time it really is helps us to align ourselves. I'm just going to show you some of the beautiful illustrations and calendar work here. As you can see, that's Tahuti. And then the days of the week. I'll show one other page just to give you an idea of how special this calendar is. Ta-da! So please contact him. He is available on social media. Again, his name is Dana Williams, or better known as Ptah Seeker. He has visited so many of the sites. You see him in our Kemetan garb, and he wears it well, and he teaches it well. So thank you so much to you, sir. All right, I wanted to say that. I do have, of course, my list. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I want to talk about, again, very quickly, Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic. Just the other day, I listened to Brother Panic's presentation. You know, he is a master movie decoder and a Gnosticism and occult science teacher. And this presentation on the other day, I think it was called Gnosticism and thought or something like that. When you are a Gnostic, how should you be thinking? And so one thing I love about both he and Bobby Hemmett is that they can say the same thing in 6 different ways to make sure that by the time they get through exploring a concept or an idea, you really do understand. I never was very great at that. You know, I would always try to be as brief as possible, even in writing papers in school, particularly in grad school, because you would have to meet a certain word count and you couldn't go over. So I learned to, I guess you'd say, write in that way, and I probably speak that way. So I apologize if I'm not as thorough as both these brothers are, Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic, who, by the way, both recanted their position on homosexuality. Again, science has proved that homophobia is hidden homosexuality, and I will classify it as a serious mental illness. Serious mental illness, because it sometimes results in violence and death against innocent people, all because the person who is behaving in that way hasn't dealt with issues within themselves. And so, again, we recall that master teachers sort of like go on a road show, and it's part of their act to have an interested and entertained audience, and talking down about homosexuality seemed to be a big part of that, and I hope that that will stop. But anyway, Bobby Hemmett has continued to guide me daily. You know, I'm always listening to those programs, seeing what I could learn, and having him reiterate and reteach in different ways and keep us abreast of all the horrible things that are happening, and then stressing the importance of realizing that we are living in an illusion and there are ways of protecting ourselves. And right now I'm exploring more about the Divine Mother and the dark side entities. Please check out those presentations. I have incorporated their names into song. I have been posting the creativity of altar work. Remember, when you meditate, you do not have to follow anyone's guided meditation in a book, although those are fun sometimes. But the more creative you are with your altar and with your way of contacting entities, which, by the way, are all a part of you. So we have moved away from looking outside ourselves and calling on help and calling ourselves conscious, but really being modified Christians. We are chaos being, monstrous soul, gods on the planet, and we can command our universe. We're not used to, well, I'm not used to that at this point, but I am learning and I'm exploring with that, particularly with my altar. And so I've been posting that. It just so happened that I made a trip to Phoenix and Dragon, which is a metaphysical bookstore here in Atlanta. Very popular. I have been going there for many years, even though I moved away and found Golden Temple in Birmingham. But I happened to go by there the other day to do a ritual that Bobby Hemmett has taught. And I like to share it with you. You know, when we're here teaching, we don't want to just tell people what they need to be doing or anything like that. We want to provide solutions to guide them in a direction of coming up with things for themselves as they continue to study on their own. But anyway, I ended up in Golden Temple looking for candles. I also went to the grocery store to find parchment paper, and I went to the convenience store and got some paper sacks, paper bags. In this ritual that I am doing, basically what you do is you write your goals, about 3 goals, on each piece of parchment paper. Place each into a bag, fold it up, and then tape it under 2 tables, one table of your choosing and the other an altar that you create to the entities that you are seeking help from. And so I did that, and I bought at Golden Temple several colors of candles. I couldn't remember that Bobby Hemmett presentation by name because there's so many, but I recall, I believe, that the candle was black, if not yellow. So I bought black candles, I bought yellow candles, I bought red candles, I bought green candles. And I also bought like a novena candle, which had writing on it about spiritual power. And it was all for under $20. So it was nice to be in that store looking for an Ankh ring, which I can't seem to find anywhere. They had two, but none of them fit my fingers. Not my ring finger, which is where I want it, on my right hand. But anyway, the search is still on for an Ankh ring. But it was nice visiting there and to notice there were blacks behind the counter. You know, we used to go there, and a lot of black people, conscious here in this town, you know, we feel like we're being watched when we're in stores like that, as if we don't know our own history, which everything in that store is based off. But that is often hidden from us. So when you go in there, you want to be polite, but you want to make sure that you're not looked down on or talked down to by expressing yourself. In fact, me and my spiritual brother used to go there to listen to people talk. We were very much into studying many people at that time, reading many books, gaining much knowledge, and Jim Self of Mastering Alchemy came there. And I remember that day was so interesting because we were running a little late. The room was already filled, and there was like 2 chairs right there at the back, and I sat in one, and my buddy sat next to me. And then at the end of the presentation, we were able to go up and speak to him. But during the presentation, when we got there, because Jim Self is a channeler, and he mentioned some things that let me know that he was a real deal, because he talked about an experience I had had that morning. In fact, I used to take the train to work when I was teaching pre-K, and I ran into a friend of mine, and Jim Self mentioned that incident, and how it was a little disturbing because it was somebody that I was in the drug world with back in the day. But I was still able to be polite and friendly with him. And but anyway, I looked at my buddy during Jim Self's presentation and said, oh my God, that happened to me this morning. But then at the end, we went up to talk to him. And of course, there were people in front of us, and we knew he wouldn't stay there all night. But he did speak to me, and I appreciated that. And then my buddy, who was right behind me, all of a sudden the lady came and got him, and he was not able to speak to him. And, you know, my buddy felt a certain kind of way about that. But my buddy is a powerful spiritual being. And so I think sometimes people are intimidated even by that, especially when it's highly melanin people standing before them who know who they are and who are interested in learning more. And so anyway, that describes what my candle experience. But I went home just about to go and visit my parents, which I like to do a lot since they're elderly. But I began my ritual. And I've also learned that we need to start commanding rather than begging. We're not praying. We are commanding our world. And we have learned through Bobby Hemmett, based on the mythology of the Great Mother, that we are actually higher beings than entities we've been calling on, some of those dark side entities even. So we can command what we want done, and they tend to listen. That ritual actually did call for liquor, and that was something for me to contemplate, because I stopped drinking years ago, and I didn't want to tempt myself. I didn't want to spit to the directions. I didn't want to taste, you know, recalling the horrors of, what do you call it, hangover. And I was about to get on the road, so I certainly didn't want that on my breath, looking at all the things I've been through with drinking while driving. And so anyway, I did buy 2 kinds of alcohol. I couldn't buy a whole lot of it because I don't have a lot of money. But I bought it, and I mixed it in a beautiful glass. I put it on the altar. I pasted my bag underneath that altar, lit a black candle, and I put it in a green candle holder. So this is another tip. When you are dealing with fire on an altar or anywhere, you know, you think just because it's in glass that it might be safe, like I did. And I commenced my altar, my ritual, and then I left. But when I returned 3 days later, I looked at my altar, and that green teacup glass holder had popped, and part of it was on the floor, and it had burned a hole in my carpet, and a little spot on the altar where I had placed an index card with those names on them. And so I wondered, was it the right color? Did I burn the wrong color? You know, why wasn't I thinking that the way that candle is made, it would burn all the way down, and that would heat that glass and perhaps break it and could have started a fire. So I want to thank the entities that protected me from having a burned down new home. So be careful when you're working with an altar. We do know we have to have all the elements, earth, water, fire, and air on the altar, but we want to be careful when doing that. Okay? Remember that. Let's see. What else did I want to speak about? We did talk about Phoenix and Dragon, so check them out if you're here. You like to go to a black-owned... Oh, I never did finish up about seeing black people working in there. You used to see all white people. Sometimes you see, like, how would you describe them? You know, the type of people who have dark hair, wear dark clothes, have their fingernails painted black, witches, and people like that in there. But it was good to see black people working in there. And so I'm happy about that. So we can give our money where we see ourselves being represented. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to talk about I had posted just the other day, again, about entities that guard over certain areas and organs in the body or chakras. And we know for a fact that those who are Kundalini awakened are under attack, as well as the larger highly melanin public, because of the fears of people about us through this period of transition, transformation, transmutation, and rising back in our spiritual ability. And so dehydration is one thing that they do. All the chemicals and products in foods, you know, we already know not to eat high fructose corn syrup. We have been warned that Asians are assassins, they're food assassins, with the soy sauce and them being on every corner. And then foods in grocery stores. So I've been posting about being in a grocery store and being forced, really, by Kundalini to make changes. Now, my diet never has been bad, and I feel bad that I have been changing my diet for years, and I thrive on being a conscious doctor and self-healing myself. And now that I'm under spiritual attack in the root chakra, and not walking around feeling great and glorious and healthy like I usually do, is bothersome. But, you know, I'm still working on that. I told you about the turmeric. I also am trying urine therapy with that area since it healed my tooth problem. And I can't imagine if I was still dealing with that along with this root chakra issue. So I'm appreciative of that. But dehydration, you've seen me calling it a family affair. I travel to Montgomery to go to Prattville to the water hose. They have many there, and don't have to go as far from Atlanta to Marion like I used to go, to get fresh, pure water to battle dehydration. Kundalini is always purifying the body. I told you I urinate a lot during the course of the day. And so with an issue down there that is difficult to urinate and defecate, I still drink water because Kundalini forces it. And if you're going to be responsible, you can be accentuated in the power. But if you are irresponsible, you can be consumed by it. And there have been times when I have felt that way, just to be honest about that. So Kundalini is no joke. Kundalini is a bitch goddess. And that's not being disrespectful, because Sirius B and Sirius A are the bitch goddesses. And so I love them, and they know that. Okay? But anyway, again, I posted, and what my specialty is helping people pinpoint how they created their own illnesses through their own ill states of consciousness, through an understanding of the chakras, their positions in the body, the organs that are nearby, and then how they can self-correct their consciousness and heal their body. And so back to Echidna. Echidna is over that heart chakra. Now the heart chakra is where we merge opposites. Some people believe it's all about unconditional love. And, you know, I'm not sure if that applies here in this physical dimension where we are living in a illusion, bogus world where we are under attack. And I'm not so sure I'm all about hating what doesn't love me. So I believe that has to do with us in a different state. In other words, when we are weighing our heart against a feather, it's not about being in this illusion world. We can, you know, honestly say, you know, I have not violated any principles of my in that illusion world, nor have I done that in the real world, the underworld. So that's a different take on that. You might want to contemplate how you feel about that. But Echidna does guard that heart chakra. And so these grocery stores, 99-cent, 2 liters, even juice and foods that have chemicals in them that dehydrate the body, you have to guard against that. Not that you're going to be obsessive about diet or about what you drink or eat, because we're doing all things in moderation, realizing that balance is the most important thing in spiritual development, honoring both the positive and negative sides of that tree of life. So I hope you all are, last night I laid and I created my own meditation. I overlaid over my body, because I like to meditate lying down, the tree of life with Doth near the center, and imagine myself going through Doth to the other side, the back side, the dark side of the tree of life. You know, that's an interesting eye just to contemplate a visualization like that. But it's the beginning of being creative in my own meditation, realizing my own power, seeing myself and all those entities as a part of me. Those entities on that side have been dormant and asleep. As we know, the gods do rest. And when we call their name, and I'm glad that they're in my songs, because anybody who sees that or hears that is learning of them, awakening them. Many of them are already, as I've mentioned, here. They're here. Lavado and others. So, you know, incorporate that into your spiritual practice. When you realize the attack that we are under and the nature of this world of illusion, it's easy to make a decision to protect yourself and to protect your melanin. Leading me to my latest presentations, please check them out. I did them last night. Again, they are The Rainbow Warrior, From HIV to Kundalini. That's the one. It's a poem that I started my book with, and that chapter on Kundalini, about that prickly, tingling sensation that began in my feet and pervaded upwards over my entire body. Check that out. And then the last one was Isis. We love Isis, or Set, the Great Divine Mother. Okay? Thank you for joining me here again today. I am Dr. Damien Q. Laster, a.k.a. Kabir Amin Ra, Anpua Sarset Harakti, the conscious Dr. Rainbow Warrior, busting up bogus HIV worldwide, healing the sacral chakra. Doom Ra. Melanin, Kundalini, and the chakras. The human body chakra system. We heal ourselves. We are God, goddess on the planet, exhibiting and demonstrating God, goddess behavior. We heal ourselves, abiding the principles of the chakras. All is one, honor one another, respect yourself. Abiding the principles of the chakras. All right, you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.